Blue Jays lose game 2 of the ALCS 10-3. I'm Dan with Kyle and Bobby Valentine, and we spoke about this after game 1. Don't even bring up, oh, you took out the starter too early. There's no one to blame this on. It all went bad. Bobby.
Hi, guys. Yeah, it all went bad. And, like I always said, my mom told me I either took the starter out too soon or left him in too long every game I ever managed. And that might have been the case again tonight. And the early intentional walk, I'm not big on that either, even though everyone's saying you can't pitch to the big thumper and all that stuff. The big dumper is human. And early in the game, that comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, and it's not like he's hitting 360 all season or anything either. Like, he makes his fair share of outs. You have a situation like this. Now the Jays are basically having done to them what they did to the Yankees to some degree tonight, at least. Shoes on the other foot, and it seems as though they're having trouble making adjustments to the way Seattle is playing them versus what they had seen from the Yankees.
They just don't have it going, right, guys? I mean, you come back, you scored 3 runs. You think that's really going to be the impetus to get you going, but it seems like they're not putting their best foot forward, and they're stubbing their toe when they try.
Bobby, what happened? They were world beaters against the Yankees. This happened in the final stretch of the season for the Jays. They played this kind of baseball. They rediscovered what got them there on the final day of the season, continue that in against the Yankees, and then they lost it again. You've been there. How does that happen to a team?
Yeah, if I knew, I'd bottle it up, sell it on the street corner, and I wouldn't have to do these shows with you guys. You know what I mean? But it happens. That happens, and you wonder why. You wonder how. Sometimes a broken back gets you going. Sometimes it's an umpire's call, and I'm going to tell you what. There's some umpires' calls tonight, including the one in the first inning. And I know we don't want to make a big thing about one pitch, but one pitch can mean one at bat. One at bat can be one game. One game can mean you either go home or you keep playing.
And I think both teams saw their fair share of poor balls and strike calls tonight. So to just pin it on the bad luck on one side or the other. But Bobby, in a situation like this, you're the coach of the Toronto Blue Jays. You have a full system collapse now. They're not playing well on either side of the ball. What's the first step to try and correct that? Again, I'm sure you'd bottle that up and sell it. But what's the conversation in the locker room tonight when everything is not going right?
Yeah, there might be a couple of conversations in the locker, maybe on the plane as guys are getting on. But, as a leader, you have to reassure people that you believe in them, that you still trust them, even though you've shown some signs of not trusting totally. But you got to let them know that, you're behind them, you're with them, and you're not against them, and see if they can pull together.
Is it possible the Jays bought into the hype because everyone was saying, oh, look at this Vladdy Guerrero, this guy. Yeah. We watched him all year. He never had a big hit. We watched the bullpen all year, and yet the Fox broadcasters were making it sound like we had the greatest bullpen in the history of the world when we who watched the team all year said they aren't that good. So could they have bought into the hype and maybe been overconfident?
I'm not sure if it's overconfident or they felt they already did the heavy lift. They conquered the East and beat the beast, and now they just had to worry about playing this other team that has really good pitching and has some power hitting and plays pretty good defense, and has a really good bullpen.
Yeah, the Seattle Mariners do match up much better to the Toronto Blue Jays than the Detroit Tigers would have. And to be honest, probably the way the Yankees would if the Yankees bats aren't going full flight. Has this Seattle team basically flown under the radar, but right into the playoffs this season?
Well, they've been on jet fuel for sure. They've done a lot of things really well, including had a lot of very good starting pitching. And even though they kind of got out of whack with the extra inning game and they weren't sure at who was going to be the guy to step up, it seems like they're all stepping up because they are really quality arms out there in Seattle.
Bobby, put us on that flight. You're with the Jays. What is that attitude? How can you possibly get it upbeat and give this team a thought that it's not over?
Well, it depends on how the temperature is, how the volume is. There might be a lot of sleeping on that plane. There might be a lot of talking. There'll probably be a little card playing and possibly a little drinking. So everyone they might be able to turn the page while they're in the air. But I think, you get to Seattle, you're going to have an off day, you're going to have a workout, you're going to have the Northwest fresh air in your lungs, and something has to click. And three kinds of people out there: those who are watching what happened, those who make things happen, and those who wonder what happened. And I think a few of the guys there with the Blue Jays are going to have to make things happen.
I just wanted to add, Bobby, was there a term in baseball? Because in hockey, it's playing guilty, which means you went out the night before when you shouldn't have, and guys say, I had the best game of my life because I was playing guilty. Did they have that in baseball as well?
Oh, you think they don't go out at night, you mean? Oh,
No, but the playing guilty where guys are like, yeah, man, I was on 2 hours sleep.
They're the ones who stay home are the guilty ones. No, yeah, there's a little of that, like let's see how tired we could get, and then give our best. Sometimes when you're rested, you're ready to go. You've played the game 5 times in your mind already, and when it comes time to play it with your body, you've already exhausted yourself. So we'll see. I believe in some of the guys in that team. I think some of the guys still have to prove themselves to the world, and I'm just part of the world out there. And we'll see how Wednesday, what kind of pie they're cooking up there in Seattle.
Bobby, we've talked extensively on these post-game shows, as well as the other shows on this network, about the way the city of Toronto, and by extension, the entire country of Canada, has now clung themselves to this team. That our identity is being forged through this baseball team right now. Is there a possibility that getting out on the road and away from the pressure of being at home right now could be good for them?
Yeah, I think the expectation might have been a little too high. I think, again, that Yankees series made people jump. Oh God, they're better than we even thought they were. Well, no, they're just as good as you thought they were, and now they have to continue to prove it. So maybe now that their backs are against the wall, it's that group mentality there is. Let's show them. Let's prove it to them. Were they now back at the underdogs like we were against the Yankees? And maybe that'll bring out the best.
Vladdy, Varsho, Barger, all no hits in the series. As a manager, do you look at the lineup and say, we got to shake this entire thing up?
I don't think it's time to shake it up. It's time to keep it together. And the good news is, as they haven't gotten hits, they're good hitters. They will get hits. You don't go 2 for 4 or 2 for 5 every game because you're a 400 hitter. You go 4 for 4, and then 0 for 4, and then 0 for 2, and before you know it, you're a 400 hitter. So you got to believe in those guys. If they can't do it, it's not going to get done.
Bobby, if you look at the way Seattle found themselves in the ALCS, that incredible 15-inning win versus Detroit, where everyone pitched, including 3 baristas from Starbucks head office out there, we thought we had such a tremendous advantage built into that everyone has pitched. They were up late. They have to travel far. But baseball is such a momentum sport. Is that what we're seeing here? They're carrying in the thrill of getting through that round the way they did right into Toronto to take home field advantage in a very, very big way?
Very possibly. When the season starts, a manager usually tries to get everyone in the first few games so that you start building a team and a group effort. You want to say, hey, this was a team effort. Well, that 15-inning game proved that they were really putting forth a team effort, and that was a bonding time. That was a situation where some guys who weren't quite playing up to par stepped up. Guys who you weren't expecting did a great job, and it was time when they said, hey, we get to move on. They were saying we get to move on together, and that's a feeling of strength.
Bobby, we thank you for this. We'll see you Wednesday.
Wednesday. Let's go 7 games.
Yeah. At least. Damn straight. That's legendary Bobby Valentine. By the way, so Kyle and I text during every game, and there's nothing as I said off the top, that you can blame all of this on one guy because my scapegoat was Anthony Santander. He wasn't in the lineup, and look what happened. So scratch that one off the list. The taking out Savage too early, take that off the list. Taking out Gosman too early, take that off the list because they only got 2 hits. They've just been outplayed.
They've been outplayed everywhere they could be outplayed. They've gone silent with the bats again. The way we saw it down the stretch before the last couple of games, they look very much like that team. We were in full panic mode down the stretch, Dan. Vladdy's hitting into a lot of groundouts again, but how do you be mad at a guy who just did what he did in the first round? A huge part. It's in some ways, I wonder if it's better to lose like this, where it's a full systemic breakdown. They have the ability to flip the switch on all facets of the ball. Like, let's be honest, Savage, he didn't have his stuff tonight. He did good enough. He gave up the 3-run home run, but beyond that, he just having trouble locating his pitches. It wasn't the same kid out there, but
Yeah,
he wasn't alone, and it might be better.
I was watching out my mom's and everyone there. Whenever they did a close up of Savage, they're like, "Is he okay? He looks scared." And I'm like, "No, he's confident." And then I started looking closer. I'm like, "I think he's kind of shitting his pants.
A little
I think
bit.
the pressure may have got to him."
Well, let's be real. Forget the playoffs. He's in the ALCS. He's only pitched a couple of games. He's never been in that position,
It was his
period.
5th or 6th game in the majors.
He's never faced anything even slightly resembling adversity in Major League Baseball. And this is a hell of a stage to be tasting that for the first time. I feel bad for him in that sense. But when you go out and do what you did against the Yankees, you're getting the ball, and you're getting the ball for as long as you can possibly go. Rightly so. But that just can't last forever. And the expectations of getting through the Seattle lineup the same way he got through the Yankees lineup, to turn that over twice, that's a lot on a kid, man. I don't know. I don't feel any lack of confidence in him moving forward. And it's almost, as you said, I just feel it might be better that there isn't a single or 2 people to point this at. The whole team collapsed with the exception, of course, with Lucas.
Yeah, he had 3 hits. Shane Bieber gets the ball in game 3. The problem he's had his last at least 5 starts is he gives up 1 big inning. That cannot happen again. We'll see how it plays out. We will be back here Wednesday post game.
Good night.